People are increasingly asking, what is it with India and Zionist Israel? Indians are increasingly heading up more and more Jewish-founded, owned, or controlled big tech companies and corporations. What's up with this? It's no accident or organic trend based on merit, but why Indians? Zionism is about supremacism, privilege and rule over lesser beings. Indian Hinduism operates around a supremacist caste system depending on where you are on the ladder of privilege and importance. Both Talmudic Judaism and Hinduism are apartheid in nature. This is the elephant in the room not being addressed. Indians and Israelis have common foes. Indians, who are primarily Hindus, have an adversarial stance toward Islam. Pakistan was once part of India. The partition of British India in 1947 led to the creation of two independent dominion states, India and Pakistan. This division was primarily based on religious majorities, with India being predominantly Hindu and Pakistan predominantly Muslim. The partition resulted in significant violence and one of the largest mass migrations in history, as millions relocated across the newly drawn borders. It sounds like Israel and Palestine, doesn't it? Even the time frame for the declaration of the State of Israel is similar. Both India and Pakistan are nuclear states, as is Israel covertly. Israel refuses to admit it has nuclear weapons and refuses to allow inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency, yet it castigates Iran over nuclear ambitions. The hypocrisy is breathtaking and often goes unreported. Remember that fact when Israel and its vassal, America, threaten Iran over the nuclear issue. As a sidebar, President Kennedy tried to stop Israel from acquiring nuclear weapons, and he was assassinated for his trouble. This is not the place to discuss the threats by Kennedy to Israel in cables between April and July 1963, or the sudden and unexplained resignation of Israel's Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, who was also head of Mossad. He is said to have killed Kennedy with rogue elements in the CIA. Is this why Donald Trump refused to release all the classified Kennedy assassination documents during his first presidency and heavily redacted files during his second presidency? The same was true under Joe Biden. It's to protect Jews for killing JFK. The document release would be catastrophic for Israel. Its congressional chokehold over the United States would be broken as America would finally realize that Israel is not a friend or ally. Throw in the 1967 USS Liberty attack by Israel and 9/11 being a trigger for endless U.S. proxy wars for Israel, and American eyes would be wide open. But let's go back to Israel, Jews, and Indians. Pakistan maintains a long-standing opposition to Israel, refusing to recognize it as a state and advocating for Palestinian rights. Israel and India have a common foe, Arabs, and specifically Islam. We then come to the similarities of the Talmud, Zionism, and the Indian caste system rooted in Hinduism, originating over 3,000 years ago. It categorizes society into four main groups: Brahmins, priests, Kshatriyas, warriors, Vaishyas, traders, and Shudras, laborers. The system is further divided into thousands of subcastes, with Dalits, or untouchables, existing outside this hierarchy. The Talmud teaches Jewish superiority as so-called chosen people. This mirrors the Indian caste system for classes of Indians within Indian society, whereas for Jews, it's world supremacy. The Talmud, primarily the Babylonian Talmud, was compiled between the 3rd and 6th centuries AD, with a traditional completion date around 500 AD. Its compilation involved two main figures, Rav Ashi and Ravanatu, names that could easily sound Indian to Anglo-English-speaking ears. The final redaction of the Talmud occurred in the 6th century AD. Given this timeline, as of 2025, the Talmud is approximately 1,520 years old. The Talmud and related Jewish texts discuss the concept of Jews as the chosen people, rooted in biblical verses, particularly Deuteronomy 7:6. This verse emphasizes that God chose the Israelites not for their merits, but due to a covenantal relationship established at Mount Sinai, which obliges them to follow God's commandments. The idea of chosenness implies both privilege and responsibility, with Jews tasked to serve as a moral example to the world, which, as we know, they have never done. The Talmud reflects on the conditional nature of this chosenness, suggesting that it depends on adherence to the covenant. It's the Jews' get-out-of-jail-free card for breaking the nonsense fable that only Jews like to believe. So what we have are two supremacist peoples, Jews and Indians, with a hatred of Muslims. Israel seeks to establish its so-called Abrahamic covenant promised land from the Nile River to the Euphrates River, which rises in southern Turkey and flows through Iraq, abutting Iran. It's why Iran is so important to Israel. It's Israel's easternmost border. How would you feel if you were Iran and also saw the incitement that is the flag of Israel? The two blue lines on Israel's flag represent the Nile and Euphrates rivers on a white field, symbolizing Greater Israel. The Star of Remphan, mistakenly called the Star of David, designates the white field as Israel. Jews try to obfuscate the symbolism as the blue and white of the Jewish tallit prayer shawl. Israel is a secular state. It would no more put a religious motif on its flag than the United States or European Union would place a Christian cross on theirs. The flag of Israel is an incitement and declaration of ambition for Greater Israel, or the area of the Levant as it's sometimes called, which includes Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Qatar, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and parts of Turkey, all flanked by Iran. From Greater Israel, Jews propose to establish neo-colonial world rule under a one-world government, a new world order. What an absurdity, as there are only some 15 million Jews in the world. They could never impose such tyranny without an AI surveillance state and a huge army of Shabbos servants imposing a system of a chosen ruling class and subcastes, which Indians observe. Shabbos, or Shabbat, is the Jewish day of rest observed from Friday evening to Saturday night. Because Jews can't attend to daily tasks or business, they engage non-Jews to complete tasks for them. These minions are called Shabbos. Broadly, they serve Jews, hence why Jews derogatorily call them Shabbos Goy. A Goy is a derogatory term for a non-Jew. A Shabbos Goy is a non-Jewish servant that does the bidding of Jews. There are 1.4 billion people in India, making it the world's most populous nation and a perfect reservoir of Shabbos, who share with Jews the least egalitarian aspects of world civilization. Jews are seeding the West with their Shabbos Indians, who are generally supportive of all things Jewish in Israel. Is it any wonder that Google, Microsoft, IBM, Adobe, PepsiCo, and even Twitter until 2022 under Parag Agrawal have Indian leadership? Elon Musk now owns Twitter. He has publicly stated he's aspirationally Jewish. Musk is a Shabbos. His October 7th site tour with the wanted criminal Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu proves it. Netanyahu is wanted by the UN International Criminal Court for genocidal crimes against humanity. Musk even doubled down, taking a weeping tour of Auschwitz wearing a little Jewish skull cap, the yarmulke. The thesis is that a tiny 15 million self-chosen are using 1.4 billion as a reservoir of Shabbos to project reach, control, and power.